It's my pleasure to welcome all of you by this virtual celebration that we're in life at this moment, and welcome Jay and Susan Buckelew and their family, the Bethany faculty and staff, as well as our alumni and members of the Bethany community. Thank you for joining us today as we honor one of Bethany College's treasures, I almost said trustees, treasures, Dr. Jay Buckelew. Jay retired in 2011 from Bethany College, and we honored him at that time for his teaching and his research as a renowned microbiologist. Jay provided the world important research on bacteria influencing surfactant in the developing lungs. Jay was also honored for his passion for nature, ornithology in particular, and his ability to teach and instill that passion in others. Today, after 51 years, Jay and Susan are moving from Bethany College to Colorado Springs. Before they move, we want to honor Jay one last time. In our brief program today, we will share a couple of video presentations as well as hear afresh from members of the wider community. Welcome. We are glad you are with us today and able to join us for this special occasion. At this time, I want to introduce Ken Beto, longstanding member of the Board of Trustees and a Bethany graduate himself. Ken?
Thank you, Dr. Rodenberg. You know, Dr. Buckelew was a professor of biology at Bethany College for 42 years and retired in 2011. And biology has been and continues to be one of the crown jewels of the Bethany College curriculum. In fact, from the days of the great Dr. Bernal Weimer through today, under the leadership of Dr. Anna Edlin, and why not? You know, we have a magnificent 1,300-acre laboratory. You know, I first met Dr. Buckelew in the fall of 1973 as I was an anxious freshman. He was not only the professor of my first class, but in fact, my advisor. The class was sensitivity to the natural world. We met twice a week for two 2-hour sessions. In fact, each and every class was held out of doors. And I left that class with at least 2 golden nuggets. The first was, though I became a math and computer science major, I developed a love of ornithology, which I carry to this very day. And as an advisor, he gave me very sage advice. He advised me, in fact, not to take a class from Dr. John Spence. Not that Dr. Spence was a poor teacher, but Dr. Buckelew recognized that my ADD personality would not be able to handle it. I joined Phi Chapter of Phi Kappa Tau as a freshman and was chapter president in 1976. Many of my best college friends and fraternity brothers were in fact in pre-med, and they developed quite an affinity for Dr. Buckelew. They suggested we ask Dr. Buckelew to be our advisor. What a great decision it was. And Jay became our advisor in 1976 and held that role through 2008. In fact, he initiated in 1981. And as the chapter gained national prominence, Dr. Buckelew also was recognized. In 1991, he was named the Brandon Outstanding Chapter Advisor. In 2003, he was honored for meritorious service to Phi Chapter. And perhaps most significantly, in 2006, he was recognized in the inaugural class into the Phi Kappa Tau National Hall of Fame. In 2005, I became a trustee at Bethany College. Again, at my suggestion, Dr. Buckelew became my advisor. Bethany College is many things to many people. And to me, our secret sauce is our faculty. Jay Buckelew epitomized the best of what Bethany stands for. And speaking of faculty, I'd like to introduce Dr. Edlin right now, the head of the biology department at Bethany College.
All right, thank you so much. I see a spotlighted video. Are you guys all seeing that? Oh, okay. Okay, on the screen. Well, I am delighted to have a chance to wish Jay well and to say that when I came to Bethany just 2 years ago and became biology department chair, I was very aware of the department's long history and how each of the former chairs, from John Burns right before me to Bill Hicks, and longest of all to Dr. J. Buckelew, have been pouring affection and energy into the department for years, including renovating the beautiful building that we're in, Ogilvy now, Kirkpatrick, and working on the curriculum, the requirements, the tone, the traditions, all the things that biology majors would take with them when they graduated. And I have really big shoes to fill. Actually, quite literally, I have a really big office to fill with bookcases that I know used to hold all of Dr. Buckelew's wonderful books. And a chair to fill, actually as chair. So I admire especially the emphasis that Dr. Buckelew has placed on the outdoors and the direct experiences that students have with the natural world. The class that Ken Beto just mentioned, I just love the title of it, Sensitivity to the Natural World, and how it was always taught out of doors. That's a special favorite of mine. And in this time of virtual classes, it's especially important that we give our students meaningful experiences, direct experiences with nature. So I'm really grateful for that legacy and all the good things that Dr. Buckelew has left us here in Bethany. And I wish him all the best in Colorado. Plus, I'll probably be calling you, Jay, for some advice occasionally. So no escape.
Anytime.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bill Hicks. I'm a professor of biology. I started here at Bethany in 2003 when Jay was chair of the department. He's a great mentor, colleague, and friend. And he's been continuing to work with me over the years. He originally started out as a microbiologist, as was mentioned, and is still a microbiologist. But and as was mentioned, he helped discover the role of surfactants in lungs, but it wasn't mentioned that this helps save a lot of premature babies. That's where the really applied part of his research has gone. But since then, Jay's become an incredible ornithologist as well, and has taught me about ornithology, and now I teach the ornithology class, and I really couldn't have done it without him. But I'd like to announce Jay, me, a former student, Michael Sarala, who graduated, I don't know, a year or so ago in environmental sciences, and the current editor of the Red Start, the Journal of the Brooks Bird Club, Casey Rucker, have an article coming out in the next issue of the Red Start, the October issue, and it's been finalized, so I think it's safe to report, and I'm going to share the title page with you. I think this is it. Hopefully that's showing, but Jay started a study of birds about 50 years ago in the Parkinson Forest, very far-sighted and great idea, and has been on and off sampling the birds in the Parkinson Forest, the breeding birds, over the last 50 years. And oddly enough, last year, a study came out also covering the last 50 years, showing that birds have declined about 30% in the United States since 1970. And Jay's study paralleled that. So we thought it would be neat to try to publish this work in the Red Start to reflect on what's happened in the Parkinson Forest in West Virginia and how that parallels trends in the US. So anyway, I think this is a really neat accomplishment and shows how Jay's still contributing to science. Thank you. Now I can't figure out how to unshare the screen. Oh, there we go.
Okay, my name is John Burns, and I came to Bethany to teach in 1985. Jay had been hard at work here for 16 years at that point, and I was really, really lucky to have such a wonderful department chair for so many years, and he was very helpful in allowing me to do all kinds of research, all kinds of travel experiences with Tri Beta. And I can't ever recall any of my sometimes crackpot ideas that he didn't throw in with and try to help me the best he could. And one of the really prized things for anybody who has been a colleague of Jay or a student of Jay's is a letter of recommendation from him, because he's, of course, had been editor of the Red Start for 39 years. When he retired, he was really, really good at writing excellent letters. When I was lucky enough to get a Fulbright fellowship to go to Russia and India, Jay was one of the letter writers along with Dr. Robert Payson. And I'm sure that that was really a very important component of my application. I did want to just reflect very quickly on the fact that everybody knows that we are living in kind of a time which science is being challenged. I am a great believer in liberal arts, and science is being an important part of that. And a lot of the difficulties we've had as a country in the last year especially, but in some prior years, has related to this kind of split between science and the humanities and so forth. I would recommend people look up Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond, an ornithologist who spoke to some of this. And I eventually stopped showing that video in my classes. It was made in, the book was written in 1997 because it was getting out of date, because there's a big emphasis in that book and in the video on, of all things, pandemics and how they could be a threat to modern civilization. Thank you for letting me talk as much as I have. I'll pass it on now to the next person, which would be back to John Rodenberg.
Hi, good morning. My name is John Rodenberg, and I guess my unofficial title is First Dude here at Bethany College. Several years ago, a group of us decided that we wanted to revitalize the trail system here on campus, the old growth forest in particular. And so we organized ourselves into a planning team, and we organized a volunteer event last September, a year ago, and had 160 volunteers that worked all day to revitalize the trails. We then, at the beginning of this year, we were able to build a new trail kiosk and put new markers along the trail so that all of the community could enjoy. In fact, during this COVID time, we've seen more activity and people on the trail than ever before. But along the way, we decided it was the perfect opportunity to dedicate a portion of the trail, a particular part of the trail, in honor of Dr. J. Buckelew. And so I would like to share with you a dedication that we held. A small group of us, because of COVID, gathered on November 18th. And I would like to share a video of that time together and the dedication of the trail in honor of J. Buckelew. So I trust our audience can hear us. Unfortunately, we don't have sound for the recording, but we dedicated a section of the trail, and we were grateful to hear from Jay telling us a little bit of story of the old growth forest. In fact, he commented that their tree that they first aged when he arrived on campus in 1960, and they aged it at that time 250 years old. And so the tree, the old oak tree, still remains to this day. It is 300 years old. And so we're so privileged to have the old growth forest here at Bethany College. Jay spoke of how he loved taking classes, freshman classes in particular, out on the trail. They made a commitment that unless it was pouring rain, they wouldn't stay in the classroom, that they would go out onto the trail. And so loved taking students out there, that some of which had never had the opportunity to even be in the wood, maybe if they come from the inner city environment. played mostly on turf, hadn't been on grass. And so just to be in the trail system, it was such a great opportunity for them.
At the time, I also thanked the college for the care which they have taken to protect this great forest that we have. Very rare nowadays for a college to be able to walk out the back door into a mature forest like this. It's a great thing, a great resource that the college has this.
Is we want to honor you by dedicating the section of the trail, much as we have honored Professor Sutton and Dr. Weimer. We are honoring this section of the trail from the trailhead to the Bullard Waterfall Trail and naming it after you.
So it is my pleasure for those of us gathered here and those that will be on the Zoom gathering as we celebrate together as a community to celebrate a fantastic and long-loved leader at Bethany College, Dr. Buckelew. We do so by opening this trail formally, and I want to thank him on behalf of the faculty, the staff, the students, and the alumni whose lives he's touched tremendously throughout his life. So, Dr. Buckelew, congratulations and welcome to the Buckelew Trail.
Thank you so much. Let's do it.
That's a good idea. There you go.
There it is.
Excellent.
We can't, we're not allowed to shake hands, so I'll bump arms. Congratulations.
Ken, I'd like to hand the baton over to you if you would share your wonderful presentation, your piece of art.
Well, of course, I can certainly talk a lot, and I'll wait. If the video starts or whatever, we'll just resume as necessary. First of all, I was honored to be asked to paint a picture for the dedication of the trailhead.
Here it is.
Oh, now we're seeing this. We can watch this, and I'll.
No.
Thank you, Ken. What a nice.
With great memories.
I should open it and see. There you go. Oh, that's the front.
There you go.
Oh.
Oh,
Beautiful. Ken. Oh, that's really.
oh my
beautiful,
goodness.
Ken.
I worked on it for months.
Oh,
Well, it looks like
kidding.
it.
Well, that's the story behind that. It
4
went,
days.
oh my gosh, by December the 8th to, oh my gosh, by the day.
Did you see that, Susan?
oh, that is
You get to
beautiful.
share it too, Susan. It's for your new home.
It's beautiful. Thanks, Ken.
Okay, well, here's some shots of the painting so you can see it a bit better. Again, I was honored, and the date got moved up a lot, and I was a little panicked, but you know, I'm okay with it. I'm a terrible critic of, especially of my own stuff. So, but here it is, and there are a couple. I think Liz is going to show you a couple of little details that I put in here. These two little birds, I don't know if you can see them. They're quite abstract at the very top of the painting. These two little birds are not accidents of paint that I dripped, but they're two symbols of birds. They're flying west, by the way, which is where the Buckelews are going to be leaving us. So to introduce myself, I'm Professor of Fine Arts, Ken Morgan, class of 71, and I came back to Bethany to teach at my beloved alma mater 31 years ago. And Jay remembered me as a student. He forgot some of the things he might have heard about me as a student, and we were fast friends. For the past 2 decades, we've also been neighbors, wonderful neighbors. After he retired, I would help him catch up on college stuff, and I always enjoyed conversations with Jay and Susan. And it was rare that we didn't have probably at least one a day, because I'd be walking dogs and they'd be walking with each other in opposite directions. And we've had a great friendship, and I'm going to miss them a lot. I already sort of do. Anyway, yeah, there's a second. I don't know if it's kind of hard to see because it's quite small and it was kind of challenging, but there's a little blue jay on top of the trail post there that I thought that was probably perfect bird for Dr. Buckelew. So I want to say that just a quick thing about a Google search I did, as we do today, copying students, I suppose, on Birdman. And of course, the first thing that came up was the Birdman of Alcatraz. And I remember seeing that movie, and it was pretty amazing. Not that Dr. Buckelew has ever, well, actually, Dr. Buckelew has taught inside a prison. So there's that. Then we have in the Google search, John James Audubon, who, of course, I mean, I think that name is pretty synonymous whenever you hear the word bird, even if you don't know much about birds. I learned something new, which I try to do at least once a day. The Birdman of India, Salim Abdul Ali. I'm sure that he's no stranger to J. Buckelew, or Bill Hicks, for that matter, or maybe John, maybe all of us, but I didn't know about him. Then we have Bethany's George W. Sutton. Now, you know, what a treasure that guy is. And I am learning a lot more about him, thanks to Anna Edlin, guiding me in a direction that I'm really happy I'm going in. We also have Big Bird of Sesame Street, but what I think needs to be added when you do a Google search is Birdman of Logan Court, J. Buckelew. He is, in fact, a Bethany treasure of memory. So thank you, Dr. Buckelew, for being my friend all these years, for having one of your daughters be one of my first students here, Dana. And on the first day of class, Dana, I don't know if you remember this or not. On the first day of class, you said to me, "I've grown up in a house with a painting of yours." And I said, "Really?" I didn't know that. And so I don't know if now the Buckelews own 2 original Ken Morgan paintings, or if the other one's no longer with you. They can maybe correct this or not. But it was something purchased at my senior show when I graduated in 1971. And if I'm correct, I believe it might be a pretty abstract painting of 2 owls. Is this at all hitting home to Jay and Susan? Or does Dana own this painting now? Or did you put it in a yard sale?
No. I don't recall.
You don't remember the painting?
No.
Well, Dana will have to help you with that later.
Yeah.
I should have checked this out earlier. Well, no problem, because I probably didn't really want to see it again anyway. As I said, I'm a big critic of my own stuff. Well, happy trails, Dr. and Mrs. Buckelew, and I hope that our paths cross again someday.
Go ahead, Jim and Donna.
Okay. Well, Donna and I ended up being unexpected road warriors this morning, so I'm using my laptop. You see I have my headset on. This is Donna Smith behind me, class of 74. James Gerb, class of 77. We're both biology graduates, and it's truly an honor for us to be here today among Dr. Buckelew's friends, his family, colleagues, and fraternity brothers. For Donna and me, and we're sure for all of you, Bethany College was a haven of learning and being cared for with a genuine feeling of family, and that's what makes Bethany a special place in our hearts. Don and I, as well as other students, were routinely welcomed into the Buckelew home for meals, discussions, and spending time with daughters Dana and Sarah. And speaking of the Buckelew home, I just have to digress a second and give a big shout out to Susan. Susan was always a gracious host. She kept us up to date with the news and Bethany. She was constantly cooking for us and experimenting with different recipes. In fact, one of my favorite stories, and George Beto might remember this, is that Susan knows that I'm a native New Yorker, and when she found out that I never had cheesecake, she stopped everything she was doing and made me a cheesecake. So the first cheesecake I ever had was in Bethany, West Virginia. I keep telling this to Miss Donna, but she doesn't seem to get the message, Susan. She's not with the program. I need you to talk to her after this call takes place. But that's truly one of my favorite stories. When we all have stories about taking courses with you, Professor Buckelew, and from you, we learned about the pure joy of discovering new concepts and learning new ideas, and that was your gift to us. You taught us with a quiet passion and knowledge that was contagious and influential for your students. And you were committed to your profession at every level. You led studies and symposiums and always pushed harder to enhance Bethany's biology department. And you made sure the students had all the tools that were needed to succeed, and was a master of getting most out of your biology students, as well as coaxing the last breath out of some of the aging equipment. You listened to your students, you respected and truly cared for your students, and you encouraged and challenged us. Your personal example inspired us, and for all of that, we are very grateful. So it's with great pride and gratitude and pleasure that Donna and I decided to start the Buckelew Fund and are committed to seeing that being fully funded. For those of you who do not know, the Buckelew Fund was established to ensure that the biology department has the supplies and tools to continue to provide its students with the best learning experience and to attract and retain the best students. Funds have been used for many purposes, from just buying new slideware and replacing old slides and test tubes to purchasing apiary equipment, that's beekeeping equipment and honey making equipment. And during these challenging times during this COVID pandemic, having the proper teaching materials is even more urgent to maintaining the best learning experience. This is our small gesture to you, Professor Buckelew, as our thank you for the importance that you have played in our lives, as well as the other fortunate Bethany College students who have had the opportunity to have you as a professor, advisor, and as a mentor. You've clearly helped to shape the motto of Bethany College, a small college of national distinction, through your dedication, integrity, knowledge, and love of learning. Bethany will surely miss you, Professor, but the good news is we'll be seeing you all out in Colorado Springs. Good luck and all the best. And I'll turn this now over to Ian Nelson, the president of Tri Beta. Thank you all.
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm Ian Nelson. I'm a sophomore at Bethany, and I am president of the Tri Beta Biology Club. And, you know, for many of us currently in the biology club, we didn't really have the chance to see Dr. Buckelew very often in classes. But I was one of the few who was fortunate enough to have the pleasure for walks and a few mini lectures in ornithology with him. And from my first interaction with him, it became evident how friendly, helpful, and knowledgeable Dr. Buckelew really is, not only on the topic of birds, but seemingly anything at all. And speaking with faculty and biology alumni, as we've already seen today, we learned that Dr. Buckelew really embodies Bethany College. The personal relationships he has with most of the faculty and alumni and the current students even is without a doubt one of Bethany's defining characteristics. Thus, because of the impact Dr. Buckelew has had for our club as an advisor, for the department as chair, and really Bethany College as a whole for being here for so many years, it is clear that he is one of the most influential professors that the college and the department especially has ever had. Thus, it is my honor to place a new faculty frame for Dr. Buckelew in the club's room, right next to one of Dr. Bernal Weimer. And I'd just like to thank you, Dr. Buckelew, from the club as a whole for your decades of time and work here at Bethany. And with this engraved frame and image, you will now always be a part of Bethany and its biology department, no matter where you are. And we wish you the best for your time in Colorado. And I turn it over now to Mr. Ben Fadouche.
My name is Ben Fadouche, and I am the current president of the Phi Chapter of Phi Kappa Tau. And one of the first months I was at Bethany, I'm a junior now, one of the first months, one of the first alumni I met was Dr. Buckelew whenever he came to the house for our alumni meetings. He's been, even in his retirement, he's been very active, and I've gotten to meet him a lot of times and talk with him. He's always has a great story to tell and is always willing to talk about stuff. He was here as our advisor for over 30 years He was our longest serving advisor in Phi Chapter history. And that's just amazing. Everything that has become of Phi Kappa Tau is because of Dr. Buckelew here. And we're ever grateful for that. And as Mr. Beto had said earlier, he has won a lot of national awards as the National Best Fraternity Advisor. And I think the coolest part of all is he was inducted into the National Phi Kappa Tau Hall of Fame, which isn't an easy feat. And Dr. Buckelew, I don't know if you know this, but we like to teach our new members about famous Phi Taus that have come around, and you are one of the first names that we teach them as a famous Phi Tau and just a great man and a huge part of the Phi Chapter history. And I'm sure you know, but our 100th anniversary is coming up soon. I know you'll be in Colorado, but hopefully I'll be able to see you there again. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shirley Kemp, Mayor of Bethany, and also Director of Advancement Services here at Bethany. I've been here since 1965, and most of that time I have known Jay. He leaves behind many fond memories with all of us. I would see him walking past the office here, taking his classes for their walk through town for looking for all kinds of wildlife. He's always been someone that you could go to if you had a question about some unfamiliar plant life or animal species. His biological expertise has been a great asset to the Bethany Sanitation Board, where he has served for many years. In his position as secretary, his minutes were always detailed and precise. We've had to go back many times for clarification on what was discussed, and it was all right there. He will certainly be missed, and we wish him much health and happiness as he moves to Colorado Springs. The town will present him with a certificate of appreciation. We're going to show it there. And it's presented to Arthur R. Buckelew Jr. for his service to the town of Bethany and the Bethany Sanitation Board. Your dedicated service throughout the years is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much, Jay. We were on to the next one. Okay.
I'm Cindy Slater. I'm president of the Brooks Bird Club. And Jay Buckelew, what an amazing, iconic person. I personally have had the privilege of knowing and being inspired by Jay my entire life. I attended Ogilvy Institute's Junior Nature Camp with his girls Dana and Sarah, sat in many afternoon sessions and wonderful nature programs that Jay has presented. In my adult life, the connection with Jay has been through the Brooks Bird Club. Jay has held many positions in the Bird Club, including secretary, president, 4A director, but by far his most reputable and longest held position was editor of the Red Start. He was so passionately meticulous and professional with this publication. He took the role of editor very seriously and was instrumental in establishing the scientific acceptance of our publication. Jay is not only a great ornithologist, but is also an incredible field botanist as well. Anyone who ever had the opportunity to go on one of Jay's death marches at a Bird Club 4A can attest to this. It is really very difficult to summarize all of Jay's accomplishments and stress the impact that Jay has left in our lives in just 1 or 2 moments. So I will close with saying, Jay, I hope you have a guest room because I'm coming to visit you.
Okay.
Really wish all the best for you and Susan in your next chapter in your journey of life. Thank you. Congratulations.
Cindy, that was beautiful. Jay, we want to give you this opportunity. Wonderful accolades, and you may wish to respond. We're so happy for you and Susan, so please feel free. You have the floor.
What are you whispering in my ear, Susan?
I said, I lean over, you can see the tree.
Well, I really want to thank Susan, first of all, for my whole life. She has been my right hand and keeping our house going when I was absent, doing all these things, which really can't do without some help at home. And so, thank you.
Do you have
And
a
I want
tissue?
to thank all of you for the wonderful things that you've had to say today. I know when I came to Bethany, people had a little trouble because as a native northern New Jerseyite and living so close to New York City that I spoke entirely too quickly, and my accent may have kept people from understanding every word, at least at first. I had to learn to slow down a little bit. And I don't really think of it as a job. My career here was really just a joyful enterprise. I enjoyed every minute of almost everything I did. There may have been a committee or two that I could have skipped, but really, honestly, I was always sort of amazed that I was being paid to do something like this. And I think that it was the right decision for me, at least, to stop doing full-time laboratory science and go to a small college where I just enjoyed everything really that I did. I think that the people who have spoken today have brought forward things that I enjoyed doing very much and wish really sincerely that I could keep doing them. But one eventually gets to the point where you just have to slow down a bit and stop those things. But we're looking forward to our move to Colorado Springs to live closer to one of our daughters, and also perhaps the other daughter is more likely to visit there than here. Although she's a Bethany alum, I think the grandkids especially enjoy being with their cousins. But it's very hard to leave West Virginia and Old Bethany. And really, I am pretty blue about that. I guess while I have a few more minutes, perhaps I would like to point out that Jim Gerb's really his fault that I ended up as advisor to Phi Kappa Tau. He is the one who brought my name up apparently, and then the next day he told me about it. But I told him at first, I gave him a hard time and said, gee, I don't know about that. But I knew immediately that that was something I wanted to do. And I've enjoyed every minute of it. You may wonder, why isn't he wearing his pin? But in fact, I do have my Phi Kappa Tau blazer on. and that certainly was an important part of my life. But I would like to urge any Bethany faculty member that it's important to do, as John Burns has done and Ken Morgan and others, to find a way to be part of student life as well. That being a faculty member only in the classroom and the labs, you miss an awful lot of the pleasure that you can obtain and also what you might do to help students in their education. And so we are saying farewell to Bethany and to a great many friends and colleagues and former students, Bird Club members and so forth. And it is going to be difficult. And I do hope that some people will do as Cindy has promised and come and visit us in Colorado Springs. Thank you all so much for this wonderful program.
Thank you, Jay and Susan, and thank all of you for taking time to join us on this virtual celebration. We are most grateful for you and grateful for Jay and Susan and their years of service to Bethany College. Jay and Susan, when you come back to Bethany to visit, we'll take a walk on the Buckelew Trail and look forward to seeing you on the trail one more time when we get a chance to be together. Meanwhile, you are going to Colorado, which is my home state. So yes. I wish you most pleasant journeys and the blessing of life looking forward with your grandchildren and your family. And thank you for all you've done for the generations of students whose careers followed from your fabulous teaching. So we wish you well, and we say with love and with grace, bon voyage. Go safely, go with God, go with love from all of us.
Thank you.